Ow.
There we go. I think we're live.
There. Wow. Look at that.
There we are. We are live. We're live on YouTube and Facebook. Welcome, everybody. This is Johnny Beane. It is October 16th, 2020, 8:08 Eastern, 5:08 Pacific. I'm joined by Jay Hannon.
Yes.
Hey, man.
Hey.
Good to see you, dude.
Always good to see you.
And Michael Gutierrez. Hey, dude.
Hello. Cheers, everyone. Happy Friday.
Cheers.
Yeah, the Modelo. I love it. And,
Yes.
and a screaming baby.
Most definitely. There you go.
You need some of those with a screaming baby. I'll mute my mic for a minute while this is pandemonium.
Man.
Too funny. Awesome.
Man.
Well, it looks like a lot of people are joining up.
Yeah, 55. We're a minute in. We got 55 people here. Welcome, everybody. Jay. Oh, you're muted. Oh, there's screaming going on.
Yeah.
It's starting to subside. I think it's good. No, it's not.
Man.
Podcast, everyone. Podcast.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that reminds me. This is a podcast. So you can listen to this on iHeartRadio, Spotify, SoundCloud, Stitcher, TuneIn, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, everywhere.
Nice. Wow,
Yeah.
look at that. I didn't know that. Awesome.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Man.
we're serious.
Going global. Going global.
We're going through the waves.
Yeah, so we're live on YouTube. We're also live on Facebook, on Johnny Beane TV on Facebook, and my Van Halen group, Van Halen 1978 to 1984. So, welcome,
Nice.
everybody.
Awesome. Hello, everyone. Thanks for
Yes.
joining. Cool. I think I see a few
Yes.
familiar names in there. Awesome.
Ah, there we go. Who do we got? We got Vistalite 1972, Chris Bevan, Middleman, just moved. Nick Horton, Sandra Percorny, Kevin Coachell, Ken Codor, Dan Halen, who's a channel member. Welcome. We have channel
Nice.
members here on YouTube. There's a join button right down below if you'd like to be a channel member. Chris Bevan, Halface, and Fruitcake Tony, and
Wow.
the rest.
That's awesome.
Welcome.
Hello,
Welcome.
everyone.
Thomas Santiago.
Cool.
Man. So how do we, Jay, this is your show. How do we do this?
Yeah. First off, who's our new host, everybody? I don't recognize him at all.
Who?
What happened? Did you oops when you were edging
right?
up or
That's
something?
what I said.
Choose what happened.
Shape.
Oh, this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, what's funny is before you were like sitting, you had your head turned to a certain angle, and it looked like this was all just like one head. Like your neck was attached.
No neck.
No. I just decided, well, it's 100 degrees here, so
Whoa.
had to do something. I don't know if anybody noticed though from Tuesday, but I've got new glasses as well.
Oh, is that what
Wow.
it is?
They're just for the computer though. They're computer glasses.
Nice.
Oh, they basically make it easier on your eyes so they don't strain your eyes after.
Yeah, it makes it so I can see things like from here, like better.
Yeah.
But I can't wear them outside. I can't wear them around because anything farther away is like super blurry.
Yeah, you're walking to the walls.
Yeah. Yeah. So I still have, all my regular ones or whatever.
Nice.
He drives with them. It's just like cars are coming at him from every direction. Whoa.
Yeah, magnifiers.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So anyway, yeah, it's Friday, and we're gonna hang out this evening with Michael Gutierrez, who
Cool.
I put in the description of the video your connection to Van Halen, but if you guys saw the thumbnail, that's a some of you might recognize that picture and maybe that guitar, maybe.
Yeah, I think I do.
I hope you do.
God, 18 years old, 18-year-old mug there. God, it's like yesterday though. It's crazy. Crazy times, man. That was a interesting time. I don't know if you want me to go over the story of how I got that, or Jay, you tell me. You're you guys' show. So Guitar Magazine put on that contest years ago in the 80s, 84. Send in a postcard for a chance to win Eddie Van Halen's guitar. So I'm like, hell yes, right? I sent in one postcard. I was going to try and send in a whole pocket full, but I freaking lost the package. So I only had one left. I don't know where I left the bag of postcards. I had one, literally. And it was a picture of their cover of Women and Children First postcard. Submitted that puppy. Yeah. And, I would tell everybody, I carry around that magazine. And I'd tell everybody, this is my guitar. Look, this is going to be my guitar. Yep, exactly. That I submitted that as a postcard. And, months. It was throughout the summer. So, man, anxious, waiting. And then I'd get a few calls here and there. Hey, you won the guitar. My cousin playing jokes on me, Every once in a while I'd be excited. Jerk. You won the guitar. He did that a few times. And after a while, I'm like, whatever, man. I know it's you messing around. Till one day, 6 o'clock in the morning on a Saturday, I get a call. I wake up, answer. And again, I think it's my cousin. I'm like, man, he stooped low, 6 in the morning. He goes, is this Michael Gutierrez? I'm like, yeah. Did you enter the guitar contest for Eddie Van Halen's guitar? I'm like, yeah. You won. I'm like, shut up, George. And that's my cousin's name, George. I'm like, shut up. Who'd you get to play this? I know it's you. Who is this? Is this your girlfriend? Because a lady called. The lady was asking me the questions. It was Karen Iamello. And then you could hear people. I guess they had me on a speakerphone because you could hear people in the background laughing. And I'm like, oh wow, that's a big crowd.
Eddie?
She goes, no,
Eddie?
Michael, yeah, right? Is that you? No, they were all laughing in the background. And she goes, no. This is, we're part of Kramer Guitars, Cherry Lane Music, which they were associated with Guitar Magazine at the time. And they put on the contest. And they said, no, we're serious. It was Dennis Berardi, Karen present, and also Henry Vaccaro. They were all present, I guess. And Dennis literally jumped in a box full of postcards. She said he literally jumped in, grabbed my postcard,
wow.
and they said they were going to throw it back in. And I'm like, what do you mean? She goes, they were going to throw it back in because the contest, they wanted to fly. The plan was to fly some kid from back east to California. But since I lived in California, they were like, he's too close. We want something bigger. And they argued back and forth, I guess. And she said, no, we finally picked your name and you were the surviving postcard. I'm like, why? Thank you.
Yeah, whoever fought for you to say, no, that's the one you picked.
Yeah.
Thank them. Holy
Karen.
crap.
Yeah, Karen Iamello. I'll never forget that. And the day I met her, I gave her a big old hug. Thank you for keeping the postcard. But yes. So fast forward,
Wow.
they called me a few times and said, okay, we're going to fly you out to the NAMM show. Car's going to pick you up, so forth and so on. So I'd never been to the NAMM show. So I didn't know what to prepare for. So dummy me, I show up in a suit and tie.
Looking like one of the business execs,
Yeah, exactly. So I go to the Kramer booth, after getting through all the you got to fill out forms to enter into the NAMM and all that stuff back then. Even back then, it was kind of strict. So I filled out the forms, had the escort, went to the Kramer booth, and there's Dennis Berardi, Henry, and a few other execs from Kramer. They're looking at their watch, and they're like, where is this kid at? And I'm standing next to them. And they're like, where? Okay, this kid's going to be late. We got to get started. And I'm like, are you guys waiting for Mike Gutierrez? I'm like, yeah. I'm like, that's me. And they're like, that's you? I'm like, that's me. And they're like, they started laughing. They're like, oh my God, we expected some kid with the torn pants and a t-shirt and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, no, that's me. I didn't know what to wear. So I wore a suit and tie. So, yeah. So I got introduced to everybody at Kramer. It was pretty cool. I mean, just the atmosphere was awesome. You could see they had the winner of the guitar contest here. They had a big sign. And then they took me over to the Guitar Magazine had a booth also with Cherry Lane Music. And then Johnny, the picture I sent you with John Sticks, he was the editor of Guitar Magazine. So he pulled me over. He just wanted to show me something. Right there. So in that picture, to the right of me is that Guitar Magazine, right? And that's the one with the contest. But what they did was they had celebrities sign that guitar for me way before the NAMM show. So Ozzy was on there, the guys from Bon Jovi. I mean, all kinds of artists. He showed me. He showed me the whole pages and all that stuff. So they left it there. And fast forward, they were going to get the magazine to bring over when they present me with the guitar, and somebody stole the magazine, man.
Oh,
With all the autographs of all the
Oh, no.
there. Yeah, they stole that magazine. I was so ticked off.
oh.
Yeah. So that was one thing, right? And I'm like, oh well, I get a guitar. I think that's a little better. Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
Oh, that sucks so bad.
Right? So, fast forward,
Man.
they take me out to lunch, they prep me, they talk about publicity photos, things of that nature, and just prepare. We want you to meet Eddie. We are planning on having you meet Eddie tomorrow during the signing and the presentation, but since I forgot how she put it. Again, they expect us
so
a wild
nicely.
kid. Yeah. In short, she said, we didn't expect a decent kid to show up for this. We'd like to invite you to meet Eddie tonight. I'm like, hell yeah.
Whoa.
Cool. So check this out. So fast forward after dinner, we go to the Anaheim Hilton. And they said, okay, here's your pass. You got to go up to, I think it was the 18th floor. You get off the 18th floor and there was a security guard there. Nobody could get off that floor unless you had this VIP pass.
Mhm.
So we get there, go to the hotel room. We walk in. Karen greets me. The lady who actually saved my postcard greets me and says, hey, Michael, have a seat. There's a meeting. And I'm looking and I'm like, oh, starstruck. Eddie's sitting on the couch. Ted Templeman's sitting next to him. Two VIPs across from them who I didn't know who they were. So Karen and I actually got to take my brother with me. So they escorted us around to this behind the couch they were sitting at. And I can hear Eddie go, who the fuck is this kid? Or not who the fuck, that's me. He's like, who the heck is this kid, right? He never used any dirty language. I'm going to tell you up front, I never heard Eddie cuss. But he's like, who's this kid? So Karen had to explain, this is the winner of the guitar. And he's like, okay, cool. So that other picture I sent you, Johnny, of the patent, they were actually talking about this patent when we arrived. This is where it originated. I was actually there.
Where is that? Let me see. I'll find it.
So
I've seen it.
Yeah. So what I'm talking about is they were trying to, and it's actually come out basically the last few weeks. They're trying to patent an idea that Eddie had that would lift up his guitar and he could play it like a piano. And they were actually talking about that and funding it. And the two VIPs I found out later that were in the room talking to Eddie about it and Ted Templeman were part of Coca-Cola. They were Coca-Cola, of all people. Coca-Cola company. Yeah. So they were talking about it, patenting it, and doing some ideas, packaging and doing all kinds of stuff. And Eddie saw nobody's going to buy that. Who's going to buy that? Who's going to want to buy that? Exactly. So I was there for that discussion, which is pretty wild. Just to hear that whole talk.
Wait, so somebody was saying to Eddie, like, who's going to buy that?
No, Eddie was telling that to them.
Oh,
He's all, why are we going to patent this? Who's going to buy it? Nobody's going to buy it, So he was arguing with them and finally he just shook his head and just, the meeting ended after he said, who the hell's going to buy it,
Wow.
And then,
so they had this whole presentation ready to go. And he's like,
yeah, no, who's going to buy this? Yeah. Yeah. And they put a daze in their eyes and they packed up their stuff and left. And then we finally got to meet Eddie, Ted Templeman, took some pictures, and we were in obviously a hotel room, but they extended it. It's like a big old conference room. And within that room, there was a bar. There was a bartender there. So Eddie already had a tall freaking glass of vodka straight on the rocks. And I was like, oh my God. solid, right? I mean, you can smell that vodka. And then so he's all, hey, come meet my new friend, and yells at the bartender, make him a drink. Make him a drink down. I'm like, I'm only 18, man. He's all making him a drink anyway. So it was pretty wild. Just I was so starstruck then that he's like, hey, it's okay. Calm down. It's okay. It'll be okay. We'll take some pictures tonight. We'll take some pictures tomorrow. And just we'll hang out. So hang out. So he stepped out for a little bit and then ended up coming back later. Thing of it is, they set up a party for his birthday ahead of time, and me winning the guitar is what they were trying to do. Since they weren't going to introduce me that night, they were putting things together. So they said, stick around in the room. So my brother and I did, and, had some drinks, and all of a sudden, all these people started showing up. Some guys, Neil Sean showed up from Journey, and I'm like, what the hell? Right? I mean, God, who the hell? Y&T? I mean, all these 80 hair groups just started showing up left and right. And then here comes Eddie again, comes back, comes over to me, hangs out. Hey, how you doing? Have another drink? You all right? I'm like, I'm good. He's all, hey, if we get time tomorrow, Valerie bought me a lowrider Volkswagen. You want to go for a ride? I'm like, oh, hell yeah. Wow. So I'm like, yeah. So he sat there and was talking and just joking around with everybody that was there. Oh, a couple guys from Rat were there too, amongst other people. And they were in the corner just smoking some pot. It was just a cloudy room after a while.
I bet.
It was just, oh man, it was just nuts. I was just, like I said, I was starstruck. So many different people, so many different artists that I didn't even know at the time. And it was just nuts. And then finally, Eddie had a bow. It says, well, we're going to have an early morning tomorrow, so get some rest. I got to bow out. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Have a good night. I'm like, cool, man. That was awesome. So he was real personable, real down to earth. Just threw me off. I was still in shock. I'm like, before all that, I was thinking on the flight to LA, what am I going to ask him? What should I ask him? How many, should I ask him about pickups, guitars, how he works it? Everything went out the window. When you're right in front of him, it's like mouth wide open and just, I couldn't believe it. It was pretty wild stuff.
Man. So that was all the first day?
That was all the first day.
The first day you got there?
Yeah, first day I got there, that whole scene, man. Pictures, a story, let's go for a ride tomorrow with the bug and all that stuff. And yeah, it was nuts. It was nuts.
But that was cool that he actually, actually talked to you and,
yeah.
It wasn't like he was just sitting there, like, kind of just like,
No,
ignoring.
he actually,
that's super cool.
yeah. He actually pulled me in, introduced me to Neil Sean. He introduced me to some guys, the guys from Rat. I can't remember the other artists that were there, but he's like, hey, come over here and meet these guys. He says, you got to stay away from them. They're kind of like pickpockets. They'll steal from you. But he was a clown. He was just joking with him, He was always messing with them. He says, just stay away from this guy. And they'd give him crap. And he was a clown. But he'd pull me over to different groups. He wouldn't let me sit there like you were saying, Jay. Because at times I didn't know what the hell to do. I'd sit there and he'd look over and he'd see me but in the corner and be like, no, come over here. So he's very personal, man. It was awesome. He made me feel comfortable, put it that way. Because I sure in the hell was nervous as hell up until that point. It was crazy. And then, fast forward to the next day, that was nuts. Couldn't sleep. I didn't know what the hell to do. The other thing is I made him a sculpture prior to flying down. I made him a clay sculpture of him in his 1981. What's that?
Silly Eddie?
Yeah.
Never mind. I'm sorry.
It was one of the outfits I seen him wear on the '84 tour. So I just put something together, just a little clay piece, and I figured I'd give it to him as a gift, And I think I sent that to you too, Johnny. I think you have that picture.
Yeah, I got it. For some reason, all these pictures didn't load into StreamYard, but I can reload it. Yeah, I remember the story, man. I mean, I remember reading the. Actually, a friend of ours, Stephen Rosen, did a lot of the interviews with Eddie.
Oh, yeah.
During the 80s. And there was that one Guitar World cover story, July 85, I think. Mm-hmm. The Life and Times of Edward Van Halen. And then in the first couple pages is the story about you winning the guitar.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
And so I remember
I turned the tables or something. I turned the tables on Eddie and gave him a gift, is what they were saying, or something like that.
I remember hearing the story about this.
Oh, yeah, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. So I made him that.
That's really good.
He was cracking up about that. And I got more stories of that later on throughout the years with Eddie. So I'll go back to that. But so I show up there, they're getting the booth ready they're getting the security guards and everything ready for Eddie to show up. And again, I'm nervous as hell because all these cameras are there, all these photographers and things like that. And they didn't know I had that gift for him. So I showed Karen and they're like, oh my God, this is great. And a couple of guys were like, I don't know if we should give it to him here. I don't know if he would want that. And they're like, I mean, they went back and forth on if I should give it to him or not. I'm like, really? It's a gift. Come on, And even my brother's all, just give it to him. Fuck them, man. I'm like, okay, I'll give it to him. So I had it on the side, and all of a sudden you hear the crowd, everybody going crazy, and I'm like, oh, that must be Eddie on the way in. Sure enough, here comes Eddie leading the way. Ted Templeman was still with him. Ed Rosen was there, as a matter of fact. Or Steve Rosen.
Steve Rosen.
Yeah, he was actually there. I found some pictures. He was in the background. So he was there. I think they were, I don't know, meeting beforehand. He was there. And Johnny, you had actually sent me a picture. He was there playing my guitar at the 5150 studio. Prior, and I think it was actually prior to them showing up at NAMM that afternoon.
Yeah, because that picture, or not that picture, but an outtake from that shows up in that issue.
Yeah, and they said Eddie might be late for presenting me with the guitar because he was doing an interview, and it all made sense after you sent me that picture, and he's in the same clothes, and so is Steve and everybody, and that guitar they just packed it up and brought it over from 5150.
Yeah, because they jammed. They jammed together, and Steven Rosen was playing your guitar.
Yeah, exactly. So they show up, and he's all, hey, what's going on? And then I give him, or actually Dennis calls him over, say, hey, Mike wants to give you something before, we do this. So that's where you see that picture. He opens up the box and he starts laughing. He's, oh, this is great. Everybody around it started laughing. The guy behind Eddie, he was on tour with Michael Jackson at the time. I can't think of his name. But he was a clown too. He was like, oh man, you're going to make one for me too. I said, sure, man, I'll make one for everybody. Yeah. So Dennis, Michael Anthony was there. He started cracking up. He says, yeah, that sculpture looks better than you, Eddie. again, they were,
hell yeah.
They were teasing
Michael
each other.
Anthony's got the Air Jordan shirt on.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. They were teasing each other. So Eddie's all, yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. They put it in limo, and then we ended up getting ready for him to present with the guitar. So in the video, I don't know if you guys had a chance to see that. I know, Johnny, Jay, I don't know if you had a chance to see the video, but they pull it out of the original Kramer case that was there at the studios with Valerie Bertinelli's cat hairs all inside the case. Eddie said, sorry for the cat hairs, by the way, because of Valerie's cats. And yeah, he gave me the guitar, which is right here for everybody to see. I don't know if you guys can get a good shot of that. But here is that puppy, man.
Yeah, look at that.
And Gary Kramer actually signed it. So Mr. Kramer himself, the Kramer that's listed there, actually signed it. And again, there's more stories to it. See, it was, that fretboard is just thrashed. And that's how it was. That's how he gave it to me.
Wow.
Yeah. So it's
it's not like they just made one. He looked at it and be like, I don't really like this one. Let's do a giveaway. He actually played the hell out of that thing.
I guess, because this is how I got it. I mean, you can see, check out the cigarette. See if you can see it on this. I don't know if you guys can see cigarette burn up here. All right. My finger's up right there.
Right there? Uh-huh.
Yeah. Can you see it?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, cigarette burns. I mean, this is one of the guitars, man. Heavy as a motherfucker.
Wow.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy.
So when you got it, obviously when you got it home and stuff, was it actually, as far as playability wise?
Oh my God. Oh, hell yeah. It's badass. I don't want to touch it anymore. I mean, I haven't touched it. I only played it a few times because again, it came from Eddie and I wanted to save it and just, I don't know. I don't want it to get messed up. But what I did do, I took off the strings, replaced the strings, and kept his original strings because they were thrashed. They were used. Yeah, so I have his strings set aside. I have the original ones that I put on after the show. Yeah, still have the case and everything. but everything's original. Didn't touch it. Pretty wild stuff, man. It's been awesome.
That is great, man. And
Awesome.
somebody asked in the Gus Buster said, was this during the 84 tour?
Yeah, it's right after. Right after. Right after they got off tour. Came out from the studio. They just finished. I can't remember what he was saying. They were going to go back and do some more recording or something like that, but they had just finished the tour. That's where Eddie cut his hair. So, yeah, it's pretty wild. Pretty wild. And then, so fast forward, you know, on the video too, you can see Eddie's like, all right, you coming with us? And I'm like, oh, hell yeah, I want to go with you. But Dennis Berardi's all, okay, wait here. We'll come get you. And then, because Eddie wants to see you up in the room so you guys can jam. I'm like, fuck yeah, we're going to jam. I'm like, he's going to show me Eruption. So I'm sitting there like a dumbass waiting. And my brother's like, I don't know what's going on. We sat there for a couple hours. And they said, no, Eddie had to go back. Something came up or some other BS. But I think just they wanted to get him out of there because the crowd was freaking going crazy, man. They wouldn't let him out. They had to sneak him out the side, and he jumped back in the limo and took off. So I'm like, oh, crap. So, yeah. So that was it then. He called while I was still at the booth and said, we'll catch up later. And I'm like, okay, cool. And then didn't hear from him after that, and I ended up flying home. So, yeah. So I'm like, shit, yeah. But then I'd get calls from Karen throughout the year before the next NAMM. She goes, hey, we talked to Eddie. He wanted to see if you still have the guitar, if everything's working okay. I'm like, oh, fuck yeah. You can call me anytime. Here's my number. Give him my number. But she said, well, he'd like to invite you to be a part of the Kramer crew and show up every year at NAMM. I'm like, fuck yeah. So,
wow.
Yeah. So every year I was invited to NAMM through Kramer Guitars. And, oh, yeah. So I got to hang out with Eddie quite a number of years. And that's why, you know, a lot of people don't know about the times I hung out with him. And, you know, Alex would show up, Michael would show up, and the things I was privy to. I didn't want to bring it out and highlight it and kind of bank on it and make money off of it and, you know, do something stupid and brag about it. But, you know, out of respect to them, because they gave me so much access and they trusted me, I didn't want to kind of blurt out stuff that I'd been involved in, you know.
Yeah.
It was pretty cool. Oh, that picture, by the way, at Alex, it was funny. Here's another story for you. So Alex shows up, him and his crew, and he looks at me. He's all, hey, what's up? I'm like, Alex, he had a briefcase with him. I'm like, dude, why are you bringing a briefcase? I said, I'm like, are you going to do some of the business here? He started laughing. He's all, come here. So he pulls me over to the side away from the crowd. He opens it up, and it's full of Schlitz. I'm like, what the? He's all, it's the only way I can get my beer in here. They won't let me in with my beer. Yeah, pretty well. Yeah. Yeah, he was pretty cool. He was a clown himself. He was just, he always looked serious, but he'd be a clown. You know, good guys, all down to earth. Michael Anthony, all of them were so down to earth. Just awesome. And you know, I'd mentioned that I had never heard Eddie cuss. Never heard him cuss. Just honest, down to earth guy. You know, every time I talked to him, he's just cool, very personable. You know, a lot of people, you know, some people may have bad experiences. I don't know, maybe a bad day or something like that. But
everybody has bad days, man. You know.
Yeah, true. And thank God I didn't have one of those days.
Yeah,
because it was all great. It was all great experience. But yeah, I mean, there's times. I mean, stop me if you want to ask questions. But I mean, I'll just drop stories left and right.
So
whatever you guys.
So you
hear.
saw him. You saw him. Oh, hey, Kurt Jeffries is watching. Do you know the other big Van Halen contest winner? Michael,
really?
do you know who Kurt Jeffries is?
No.
He's the guy that won the Lost Weekend with Van Halen on MTV.
Oh, no kidding!
The guy that got the cake in the face on stage.
Oh, no way!
That's
Man,
Kurt.
That's awesome. Damn, where's he at? I don't see him.
Oh, he's on Facebook. He's on the Facebook
that's
group.
Cool. Well, hello, Kurt.
This is cool, man. We got two universes colliding.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That is awesome. That is so cool.
The two luckiest
you were gonna
Van
say,
Halen
John?
fans in the world.
Yeah.
No kidding.
Wanna
No
keep it
kidding,
real?
man. No kidding.
You guys should
What, you were
arm
gonna
wrestle.
ask him, John? I'd rather
No.
have a beer.
I was gonna say, so you went to NAMM every year then from
From that point
'85
forward.
on,
Yeah.
thanks to Kramer, and you would see Eddie. You would see him at the booth. You'd see him
Yeah.
before the show, after.
Both. He wouldn't show up at every NAMM, obviously, but the ones that he was there, I was damn sure going to be there. You know, they tell me ahead of time, well, Eddie's going to be here at this one. Do you want to show up? I'm like, hell yeah. I said, anytime he's there, let me know. So I got to see some private jam sessions. I got to see sound. I was there at Soundcheck a few times for the All-Star Jams. It was only literally he, myself, Whitney Houston's bass player, and a couple other celebrities that I won't mention, but I'll tell you the story behind that one. So I'm sitting there literally with Eddie on Soundcheck, and he's literally hooking up stuff himself. He doesn't have a sound guy with him. He doesn't have his tech with him or nothing. But he brought this box in. It was an effects type of box, and it looked like it was welded together. It was weird. And I found out later that it was one of his original techs put it together for a delay system or I don't know, some type of delay pedal. It was kind of weird, but he brought that in hand. It was cool. So he was connecting it all, testing it all, playing through this amp system they set up before the All-Star Jam. But all the celebrities were supposed to show up. He's all, I'm waiting for everybody to show up. And he was the only one with Whitney Houston's bass player. He says, so, and the drummer, I don't know who the drummer was. So he just started jamming at him noodling around. And then he stops and he's all, sound okay? I'm like, that sounds fucking badass. I said, Eddie, what? While nobody's here, can we get some pictures done? And he says, yeah, sure. So I look over to this other celebrity that's there, and it's a young kid. I don't want to mention the name, but I say, hey, can you take a picture of Eddie and I? And Eddie's like, cool, let's take pictures. And the celebrity kid goes, I don't do that, man. I don't take pictures for anybody. And I'm like, Eddie looks at me, just like shrugs. He's all, I don't know.
Wow.
I'm like, what an a-hole. Yeah.
Can we get any guesses in the chat of who this little bastard is?
Yeah, exactly. And I'm like, I couldn't believe it. But Eddie, but the expression on Eddie's face cracked me up because he's like, really? And he knew this kid too, right? And this kid was only famous because of his dad. I'll give you a hint there. But yeah.
Were you at this one?
Hell, I think I was. There was times I was at a few of them where I ended up being backstage a lot. Kramer had me doing actually work. So while they're up jamming, I had to get some of the celebs ready in the back. Like for that one All-Star Jam that Eddie was getting ready for, I was there early with him, and he ended up taking off for a little bit. He said, I'll be back. So I ended up hanging out with the gear. But they ended up bringing us some dinner in the back area, the green room area. And a shitload of celebrities started showing up. And I'm eating, and I'm having my drinks. And I'm sitting at this long table, and this guy comes up, and I'm like, God, that guy looks familiar. He's with two chicks. Sam Kinison. You guys remember who Sam Kinison was? He sits right in front of me. Yeah. He sits right in front of me with his two girls. He goes, hey, what's up, man? I'm like, hey, cool. How you doing? We're going to jam tonight. The fuck out of this. I mean, he was just cussing every other word. I'm like, cool. Nice to meet you. Cool. And the girls are all like, get-ish. And then I'm looking around again. Here comes Richie Sambora, the keyboard player from Bon Jovi. I apologize for not knowing the names of all these guys, but just so many just dropped in. And then, hey, there goes Billy Idol. I'm like, wow. So
did he give you the he walked past everybody. That's how
No, it was with the middle finger pretty much. No, he was cool. But it cracked me up. He was shorter than me. I'm like, wow, I'm 5'9", and he was shorter than me. I was like, wow. But all down to earth. So fast forward towards them prepping for the show. Everybody had their own little stage rooms. And I was told, okay, Eddie, I was there at that show. So I was told, all right,
there's the face. Like, look at him.
Yeah, exactly. So I was told, okay, make sure nobody enters this room. Eddie's in here prepping, and Billy Idol's going to show up. So just escort Billy in. I'm like, oh, cool. So he and Billy were prepping for the show. and it was only he and him in the their dressing room. And they come to me, okay, Mike, showtime. Get him out. We got 5 minutes. I'm like, okay. So I'm knocking on the door. I'm pounding on it. I'm like, hey, guys, time to come out. Ed. Pounding and pounding. Finally, they open the door. Fucking Billy Idol comes out with his eyes half open, man. I'm like, wow. He was stoned off his ass. But Eddie was all perky. He's like, hey, are we ready? I'm like, yeah, Ed. I literally had to escort Billy Idol to the stage on the back area. Yeah. That was pretty wild. I was like,
wow.
That's why I knew he was shorter than me, because I literally had to hold him by the elbow, and got him on stage. And I'm thinking, oh my God, this is going to be a clusterfuck. Dude, the lights go on and he didn't miss a note. He was on. They were all on. It was badass. It was a pretty badass show that night. And I was like, wow. Yeah, I was expecting him to trip up or something, man. But
yeah, look, there's Sam Kinison. On the all the way on the left. That's Kinison. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Oh, it is. I see the hat.
Yeah. So I was there for that whole freaking show, man. I was there at Soundcheck, and
he played guitar.
Awesome. He jammed.
Really?
Yeah. Remember he did a cover of Wild Thing.
Yeah, exactly.
Remember that? So Michael, didn't you tell me one time you got to see the 5150 guitar, like close up?
That's it right there. That's the one. Yeah, he was jamming with. Yeah.
That guitar, yeah.
Yeah. I actually held it up for him because he was switching something on the cable, so I was holding it. And I was like, oh, wow, it's as heavy as the one he gave me.
Wow.
Yeah. It was identically heavy as, the one I mean, they're solid, dude. They're solid. Johnny, I think you actually held it when you came over that one time, right? I've showed you the guitar a couple times.
Your guitar, yeah. Yeah.
The one that Eddie gave me, yeah.
Yeah.
And they're
it's
just
heavy.
The same feel.
It's heavy.
Exactly. Yep.
It's heavy.
Yeah. So he gave me that to hold for a second. Yeah, just as heavy. Heavy.
Were you
yeah, I was like, oh man, exactly. Just that's why I wanted people to take pictures. They got to take pictures because I was holding it, and Eddie's all. And again, he didn't mind, man. It's just when you're one-on-one with him, he was so freaking amicable, just down to earth. It was just that's why I loved him so much. He was cool. But when he hated the cameras. That's one thing. When cameras came around, it's like time to disappear. And he's told me that before. We were sitting in this one booth one time, and he noticed some photographers on the other side, and he's all, come over here this way. So we kind of hid around the other side of the booth until they passed. And then we came out, and all these girls showed up. They're like, oh my God, Eddie, can we get a kiss? Can we get a kiss? And he's all, sure. And, they give him a kiss on the cheek and take pictures, and then they leave, and he shakes his head. And I'm like, dude, I'll trade places with you any day for that. He's all, you can have it. He says, you can have that. Yeah, he didn't like any of that, too. He's like, too much, But, again, he did, he went all out for the fans. And if you were down to earth with him, he was cool. He was a different person. It was awesome. I wish a lot more people would be able to have met him in the situation I was in. It's cool. It's crazy stuff.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then, God, just so many different stories. There was this one time they had at the booth, and God, I was stupid as a kid too, like a dummy. I'm like, God, I couldn't have done this. I shouldn't have done that. you know that, I think I told you this too, Johnny. I had the opportunity, like a dummy, to grab the, that tape they used for Back to the Future, that soundtrack.
That's why I'm a fan today, is because of that cassette, that riff. Yeah.
I had that actual cassette in my hand of the recording. In my hand, and I think it was Karen. Karen's all here, put this together and just play, because they were having a sound loop. They were making it go through a sound loop in the Kramer booth, just crazy sounds of Eddie playing. And she said that's how I found out. She told me, they were using that for some of the movie clip, but we've got extra. You can have that one if you want. And I'm like, I could have had that like a dummy, and I forgot about it because I was too busy helping at the Kramer booth with all the signings and all that stuff. And I'm like, oh, just thinking back on stuff like that, coulda, shoulda, woulda.
Let's see, kind of like that, right?
Yeah. It wasn't then. That was the other time where that was a badass jam session that night. He was just signing autographs and just God. the other thing that, was kind of crazy is if you got to know Eddie, he was a very personable, down to earth guy. Some of the guys that hung out with him, there's that guy that's pictured him behind him right there. I don't know who he was, but he was just a jerk. He's just like, he wouldn't let you talk to Eddie. And I'm like, dude, I'm talking to him because I know him and I'm working with Kramer. He like, stand off, everybody stand away, get back. And I don't know, he just had an attitude. But a lot of people around him sometimes, I don't know if they became just big-headed in a sense because they are associated and just wanted to keep them away from others or what. But for example, throughout these years, I would try and get the guitar signed, but sometimes I wasn't able to bring in, the rules got stricter every year at NAMM. You couldn't bring in your own guitar sometimes. You had a serial number, license, all that, all kinds of crap.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I would tell Eddie, it's like, dude, I want you to sign the guitar once, I can get it in. He says, yeah, just make it happen. No problem. Bring it in. Every time I try to get it in or to him, somebody would always get in the way. I mean, I'm talking even at tours. I'll never forget one tour they were on. Oh, it was with Gary Sharon. This is after a while. But this is one example. They were on the tour with Gary Sharon. They were in Sacramento. I got a call. Hey, Ed's in town. We got a pass for you. Come by. I'm like, great. I'll bring the guitar. So she said, yeah, bring the guitar. No problem. I show up, go to the green room. Eddie's all, hey, and I show him the guitar. It's like, we need to sign this thing. You're here. So we take pictures. And he comes around. He's all, dude, I can't sign it. I'm like, what are you talking about? They won't let me sign it. I'm on contract. And he was on contract. I think it was at the time with PV. He says, if I sign that, it's null and void. I got to get in trouble. I'm like, you're shitting me. I said, let's go around the corner. Just do it right here. So he literally was walking me out of the green room. They're yelling at him, Eddie, get back here. He's all, hold on. He was walking me out to my seat before he realized he was out in front of a crowd talking to me. He's all, oh, I got to get back. We'll make it happen. I'm like, So I was that close again. But that's how cool he was. He was walking out with me. And as a matter of fact, I don't know if Robert Stoltz is on this, but Robert Stoltz used to write. He's a freelancer for it was Van Halen magazine when they were out. And Robert Stoltz was actually there watching that whole thing. And he was all, what happened? I saw Eddie walking out with you. He was almost walking you to your chair. So, yeah, he was there. He's been
Robert
around.
Are you here, Robert?
He said he was going to join. But, he witnessed that whole thing, was cracking up. He's all, yeah, I couldn't believe Eddie was walking out with you. He left the crowd. And you know who got in the way of that one, too? And this was on another tour. I think back with Dave. Hell, I can't remember. But, no, this is, fast forward. I think it's actually with Sammy. It was Scotty Ross, man. Scotty Ross got in the way of that, too. He's all, no, you need to get out of here, kid. I'm like, I got invited by Eddie. I'm like, what are you talking about? Well, you need to go. I'm like, but he's going to sign the guitar for me. No, you need to get out of here. And I think, actually, who was there for that one? God, so many people were there to witness. They're like, no freaking way, And Robert was there for that one too, I think, because he was writing another story, I believe. He's like, what the fuck, man? What the fuck is with these people that won't let him sign it for you? And again, people getting in the way,
Yeah, but I heard that as well from people that during that time period with Peavy, saying he wasn't allowed to
touch anything, man. Yeah. It's crazy, but he wanted to. He's like, dude, I want to. It's not I don't want to. Oh, and you know what he told me on the way out, which cracked me up too. And he turned back around. So he was going back and he says, oh, I forgot something. I'm like, yeah, what's up? He's like, you know that sculpture you gave me years ago? I'm like, yeah. He says, dude, the head fell off.
Oh.
But for him to actually tell me he still had it and the head fell out, cracked me the hell up. I'm like, you have that still? He says, yeah, I felt so bad. I didn't know how to tell you, but the head fell off. I said, okay, I'll try and make you another one. He says, okay, that'd be cool.
Yeah, so that's cool. So he didn't like either throw it in the garbage or somebody took it and was like, here, Ed, I'll give this to you later.
Yeah.
Or just throw it in a box somewhere. Like he actually probably had it out and maybe a cat knocked it off the that's cool that he actually kept it.
And exactly. And that's what made me think, oh my God, he's so freaking genuine. That was years ago. And he came back running out. Yeah, I forgot to ask you something. Yeah, I forgot to tell you something. The head fell off. But it cracked me the hell up. The head fell off. Number one, I was surprised, like you said, he still had it. Number two, I'm surprised it stayed up that long because, you know, I don't know how the hell I made that damn thing. But it was a crack up.
Macaroni.
Yeah.
man.
Clay.
Did you get to hang out with Sammy at all?
Sammy, I only saw once, and this was towards before the breakup. And that's when Scotty Ross kind of had everybody separated at one point. You know, so I'd see him, wouldn't say much, and he'd go his way. And it was crazy because everyone had their own limo when they showed up. And I was backstage a couple times, and I'm like, even Alex and Eddie were in different limos at one point, and everybody got hustled in and went their separate ways. And I'm like, well, okay. Wow. So yeah, I didn't really get to talk to Sammy then, but the other guys, pretty much cool, is just hi and bye. But again, they were hustled in by Scotty Ross. It's like, nope, don't talk to anybody over here. You're going over here, and that's it. Which is kind of crazy. I don't know. It's kind of sad. Even I saw him at Cal Expo in Sacramento when they were with Sammy at that point too. I think it started there because it was like little by little. It's like, what? It's kind of weird. But again, backstage, seeing all that stuff was freaking awesome. Seeing all the gear, hearing him at Soundcheck is just unreal, man. Just hearing the crazy stuff.
What I think is really cool and is that, you know, the fact that like Kramer was the one who would invite you out.
Yeah.
NAMM and stuff like that. And then obviously like the backstage passes and stuff. But even after the Kramer days, like he still made sure that somebody would contact you to say, hey, you know, come to the show and stuff like that. That's super cool of him to do that.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. It was pretty wild. Yeah. And then I actually ended up getting an endorsement through Kramer Guitars after a while, you know, after playing for so many years. And then crazy thing is, so Gary Kramer himself, I don't know if you guys ever talked about the history behind that and how that came about, but Gary Kramer actually lent his name to the team in Jersey, you know, Henry Vaccaro and all that, Dennis Berardi and them guys to start the Kramer company. So fast forward, you know, Gary really never, I think he only met Eddie a couple times, if that. And the crazy thing is Gary doesn't play guitar. He doesn't know how to play guitar. Which is wild. So that's he always gets a crack up about that. He says, I don't even know. That's Gary right there. Yeah. So Gary actually signed the guitar. He says, I'll sign it and maybe we can get Eddie to sign it soon. That way we both have our names on it. I'm like, hell yeah, that's fine. And so Gary, you know, he has his other companies, has the guitar name, all that. And he gave me the endorsement because he started another company after Kramer went belly up after a while. And we ended up becoming close friends. I mean, Gary's like a family member now to my kids. He's like a grandpa to my kids. It's crazy.
Wow.
Yeah, another down-to-earth person. And Johnny Beane was fortunate to meet him too. And he actually reached out to me recently. And because of the Eddie, you know, passing, and unfortunately, he says, hey, let's do something here and have a show. I'm like, because he's actually building a stage. He owns a winery also in Paso Robles. And he has a museum, Kramer Museum. And he actually built a little mini stage arena next to the winery. So he wants us to open it up with a tribute. So I'm like, hell yeah, we'll do that. But I forgot where I was going with that. But
wow, that's super cool.
Yeah, it's pretty wild. Pretty wild stuff, man. Anybody... Any questions? Or,
well, I was just going to say, if there's anything else, you know, without asking, you know, without telling a story that maybe you shouldn't talk about, but something, you know, another maybe backstage story or another hangout story or something.
Oh yeah, here's one.
Pumped.
Well, yeah, there's a few, and again, you know, there's a lot of stories I have, but people, I really don't want to disrespect the family or anything like that. Just crazy stuff, and people can take out of context, which I don't want them to do. But you know, I'd mentioned that I things to ask Eddie. What do you ask Eddie when you see him? Every time I saw him, shit would go out the freaking, you know, out the window. I'd forget because just watching him, listening to him, even him noodling. Sometimes they'd give him a guitar and he'd noodle, and I'd be like in awe. But one time I said, I'm gonna ask him. So I asked him about pickups. I'm like, Eddie, I got this striker, Kramer. I want to change the pickups, blah, blah, blah. What do you suggest? Then he told me a story about him adding extra wire around it and then dunking it in wax. And I'm like, what do you mean? So he'd wind it up. I mean, he would wind it up to where it'd be like thick, almost outside of the actual pickup guard area, the plastic area. And then he'd dip it in wax and then clean it up and then connect it. So I did that. And I said, okay, cool. I'm going to try that. I did that. And the guitar sounded freaking badass. It actually worked. I don't know what it is. Had it wound to the extreme, waxed it, and it sounded badass. The thing that pissed me off later on is I took the guitar to a guitar shop to have the volume pod changed. The luthier decided to take the wax off, unwound. He said, "Yeah, too much. It was wound too much. You had wax on it. I don't know why." And I'm like, what?
Because Eddie Van Halen told me to. That's why.
Exactly. I was so pissed. To this day, that guitar sounds like crap now. I mean, it's sitting in a bag over here. I was so pissed off. But that was tips from Eddie, literally. Because the best thing about it was I was able to go back to Eddie, I don't know, the following year or whatever, and tell him, hey, it worked. He says, told you. It worked. So that was pretty cool. And then I was talking to him about stage fright and, how to get over, just little things like that. And he's all, you just got to do it. And he was always telling me, and I'm sure people are aware, he used to get so nervous too. And, he was drinking a lot and that would calm his nerves, but he'd end up puking in the back sometimes just before showtime. He says, sometimes you just got to go out there and just do it. Just play your heart out and let it flow. I'm like, cool. And throughout the years, he just dropped little things like that. It was pretty awesome stuff. Fast forward, the last time I saw him was, I think, actually with you, Johnny, I think maybe 4 years ago. Was it 4?
Like
5?
6?
6? Hell, I think that was the last time I
years
saw him
ago.
6 years ago. Yeah, 6 years ago.
We got invited to a party of a mutual friend.
Yeah.
And Eddie was there. And
and he cracked me up again.
It was great to see you and him talking because, I grew up as a kid reading the Stephen Rosen interviews, with Eddie. And then, it's almost like I grew up, watching you as well in the magazines because, the guy went in the guitar and then the Inside magazine did the story on you. And
oh, that's right. Yeah.
And so it was cool. It was cool to see you and Eddie together. It was like old friends again.
Yeah, it was actually pretty cool. It was actually pretty awesome just talking to him. But the crazy thing is, I don't know, he'd gone through a lot of stuff, and I'm like, Eddie, do you remember the sculpture I made you? He says, remind me. And I remind him. He says, oh yeah, I think I do. And then he was just preoccupied, just a lot of stuff. I don't know what was going on then, but no, it was great to talk to him again, man. He and I sat, I don't know if you remember, Johnny, he and I sat in a corner away from everybody just to catch up a little bit because there was a lot of people there. But I said, Eddie, look, how many years have we been trying to get that damn guitar signed? He's like, yeah, what's up with that? I'm like, people keep getting in the way. I said, I talked to your tech and they want me to mail it, but I'm not going to mail that damn thing because if it gets lost, that's the only one I have. You have plenty, right? I'm not going to take the chance. He started laughing. He said, he says, make it happen. I said, well, how? He's getting a hold of, our mutual contact or whoever and just do it. He says, I'll sign it. That's no problem. I said, I know you'll sign it, but every time we try, something always gets in the way. So he started cracking me. He says, no, we'll make it happen. So, yeah, that's where we left off on that, man. But I think it was before or after. God, I swear to God, I'm going senile. He ended up sending me 4 magazines where he was on the cover, 3 different. I don't know if you guys can see it behind me.
It was the Guitar World.
Right there. I see all those.
Yeah.
So he sent me all those, the collection, all signed to me.
That's
Says
cool.
keep playing and stuff like that. He sent me a box with his picture on it, signed it to me, sent me pics, and I guess in the interim, right? Yeah, he sent me that, which was pretty cool. And from what I understand is our mutual friend told him about, how often I've been trying to get the guitar signed. So this is actually before, I think before we saw him that 6 years ago. So she told him how often we've been trying to get damn guitar signed. So he said, well, send him this in the meantime. And she said, he literally pulled it off his desk, grabbed all the magazines, signed them all, put them back in the box, and threw the CD in there, some pics, and there it shows up right before Christmas. I was like, freaking awesome, man.
Yeah.
So stuff like that,
Wow.
it's just crazy. Awesome down to earth guy. Crazy stuff.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
It's great, man.
Yeah. Hope I'm not boring everybody.
These stories are, I know Johnny's probably heard them a bunch of times, but me and everybody in the chat, obviously, this is like super cool stuff to hear. It really is. And thank you.
No, I just hope I'm not boring everybody.
Oh no, man. Is anybody in the chat bored? I don't think so.
Leave a thumbs up if you're not bored.
Yeah. They'll start flipping me off. I'll get them off.
I love hearing these stories, and Michael and I, we go back a lot of years.
Yeah.
Because we're not too far apart as far as distance.
Right.
And we met up at Gary Kramer's winery. 4 years ago?
Yeah, I think that was
or something. And
yeah.
Gary signed my Ripley.
Oh, that's
guitar.
right.
And
That's right.
every few NAMM shows, Michael and I would meet up and we'd hang out. And yeah, I've heard a lot of these stories. But the cool thing is, Michael, what he would show me, like we'd be in like the hotel. He'd be like, "See that elevator? That's the elevator where this happened or that happened way back in the day."
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, so
Yeah,
Johnny, you've heard the not safe for work stories then.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Oh man, I got plenty of those too. Yeah. I was thrown into the atmosphere with a lot of these celebrities, and here you go, a peon kid from Sacramento, right? Just right in the middle of the mix, and I think somebody wrote an article, and I said, I wish I had a camcorder built into my head to be able to record everything I've been involved in and seen, because nobody would believe half the crap that I've seen. They'd be like, "Oh yeah, whatever, man, you weren't there." I'm like, I was there. I was there for some of the Rolling Stone photo shoots, photo ops that they were taking, and showed up in magazines. And I'm like, wow, I was standing right to the right of these guys, stuff like that. Seeing different guitar models that were going to end up to Ed and things like that. Just, I don't know, just crazy stuff. And then partying with celebrities, This one time I partied my ass off it was Neil Sean. Oh my God. Talk about being plastered. We were both freaking plastered. We literally stumbled our way to that elevator Johnny's talking about. That's what I was showing him. I'm like, dude, we walked back here and there was a limo and we just barely made it here. And yeah, there's just so many stories. It's just I'm thankful and grateful to be around that, to have that opportunity. It's just awesome. Crazy stuff, man.
And I mentioned Sammy before because I'm sure everybody's heard, and Mike, same as you, is when he was on, did some radio interviews, and he was on actually with our buddy Paul Neanderpaul, who does the Saturday Night Live with us.
Oh, wow.
His radio show.
Cool.
And he kind of discussed how him and Sammy and Eddie reconnected. And George Lopez, I guess the comedian, I guess called Sammy and said, "Hey, Eddie's not doing too good. He wants you to he wanted me to give you his number."
Oh, wow.
And it was just awesome, because I love both eras. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love it. I love it all.
Yeah, same here.
And when you watch that Live on the Net video and all that stuff, and the love affair that Sammy and Eddie were in back then.
Yeah.
And then when like everything kind of the way it fell apart, and obviously we're not going to discuss any of the negative stuff here tonight, but to me, it was always a shame that they weren't still close,
Yeah.
And the fact that they really got to, kind of patch things up and bury the hatchet, really, like I got emotional hearing that stuff in a good way.
Yeah.
It's super awesome that they're able to, because nobody wants to. I mean, as Sammy's talked about that, with all the musicians passing away over the past couple of years, he just kind of wants to, mend the whatever. I don't even know what the hell I'm saying.
Yeah, I didn't know. I mean, I didn't know George Lopez brought them back or mentioned that to Sammy. I just heard on the Stern show that Sammy reached out and they had that connection prior, right? I didn't know George Lopez made that connection, which is awesome because I know George and Eddie were pretty good friends. I guess the last few years, right? Golfing buddies or something.
Mm-hmm.
That's
so
wild.
I guess it happened in what, January or February, I think Sammy said, before the whole whatever started. But Sammy said the first thing that Eddie said to him on the phone was, "What took you so long?"
Yeah.
In the sarcastic way that Eddie says it,
That's
call
cool.
Sammy. Why don't you call Sammy?
That's wild. That is wild.
Yeah.
That's a good thing. And being around this, the music industry and working with different people, it's crazy how, I don't know, I end up revolving back into the Van Halen scene. And what I mean by that is, so I've been playing in different bands. I've played casinos, I recorded a lot. I've recorded with different groups and things of that nature. And this one particular band I had here in up north that we played casinos in, my drummer, his brother is actually the right hand of Sammy. He goes on tour with them and sets up everything and helps them out, which is kind of crazy. So I'm like, how did I end up with this drummer and the connection? It's just crazy. Man.
Always goes back to Van Halen.
Yeah, isn't that crazy? Pretty freaking wild. Just nuts. I mean, I forgot I have a pair of Alex's sticks in here somewhere too. I'm in a rental, so all my shit's packed up still, and I only have a few items.
Just look for the baseball bats. Remember, I used the biggest sticks possible.
Yeah, they're freaking. Actually, these are the most recent ones. I think this was from the tour with Sammy. Pretty wild. So I got some sticks there, and my drummer, the drummer I'm speaking of, that his brother's the right hand man, also does sound tech work or drum tech work for Bonham, the Circle.
Yep.
So he's involved with that. So that's why I'm like, wow, man, I'm just still in this connection, which is kind of weird. It's pretty wild. It's a good thing to be in. It's you hear more stories through them too. It's just pretty cool.
Yeah. I remember some years back, I went up. Actually, you lent me one of your guitars, one of your Kramers, maybe the Striker.
Oh, okay.
You lent me the Kramer Striker, the one that had all the duct tape on it. And I remember I took it back up to you, and you guys were playing a show at Sammy's.
That's right. We played at Sammy's. That's right.
Sammy had that bar, had that restaurant, that club.
Yeah.
Sammy's
bar and grill.
Rockin'
Bar and grill.
Rockin' Island. Sammy's
Rockin' Island. There you go.
Rockin' Island Club or something.
Yeah.
And we actually saw Sammy and Vic played a show there.
Yeah.
And that was the night when I got to see your guitar. I got to see your Kramer.
Right. That's right. I forgot about that, man.
But there was another time where you were playing that, where your band, you guys played that, and I remember Sammy's right-hand man was there as well. Yeah, and we were joking around in the back in the green room. Yep. And I'm like, wow, this is awesome. Because, I remember going to see Sammy. I saw Sammy at Costco in Novato one time. He was signing CDs. And they were trying to sell, I guess, his rum or whatever.
Yeah.
Those 2 bottles behind that Eddie Van Halen book, those are some Sammy's Beach Bar rum.
Ooh.
I love that stuff. That stuff's good.
Yeah, I got a bottle over there. I haven't opened it. I haven't tried it yet. Nice.
Good stuff, man.
As a matter of fact, from Sammy's Bar. That's right. Yeah, they gave us a lot of that stuff too. Yeah, that was a cool night. That was a blast. And speaking of that, so we had played so often there, and obviously a lot of Van Halen, newer Van Halen, old Van Halen, that we were going to open up and play with Vic Johnson in Tahoe, which was pretty cool. That was awesome to be notified about that. And then I think at one point Sammy had a private release party for some CD or something. I don't know what it was, Circle or whatever have you. But we were asked to play there too. But at the time, the singer, I don't know what was up his behind, but he's like, I can't do it, man. I can't make that day. I'm like, you can't make this day. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and we're getting asked. No, man, I can't do it. I'm going on vacation. I'm like, oh my God. Fast forward. So hence the guy got fired.
Whoa.
He got fired. Fired his ass. Yeah. So we were all so pissed about that. It was just
I can't think of any excuse. Even a wedding or a funeral.
Yeah, right?
No way, you're coming.
Yeah. I'm like, no freaking way. But yeah, that opened up a lot of other opportunities playing at Sammy's Club and just having the connection. We were playing at this place. It's called Swabbies on the River here. It's up in Northern California. And it gets pretty crowded. Summer, it's a blast because the boats pull up and people pull up and just listen to the music on their boats. But it's a big stage and people can party out there. And so we're jamming. We actually opened up for this one popular group in SAC, an AC/DC tribute group. And we just literally had 2 practices, joined this group and sat up there and jammed. And we finished our set. So hung out, was sitting down, and this guy comes over, taps me on the shoulder and says, hey, man, I loved your set. This guy wants to jam with you guys at Sammy's if you want. And then I'm like, yeah, okay, cool. But, you get that if you play in a band, a lot of people, hey, can we play with you guys? Or just, can I play your guitar? Things of that nature. Not being arrogant about it, but just that's what happens. Sometimes they'll like, hey, we want to play with you. That's cool. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, okay. I brushed it off. Thought he was a drunk guy. And then comes back again. He says, no, man. Taps me on the shoulder. Hey, I really want you to meet this guy. Wants to play with you guys. And I'm like, who's the guy? He's all, here, this is him, Scott Travis from Judas Priest. Let me introduce you. I'm like, no freaking way. Scott Travis was actually watching us freaking perform. And so we ended up jamming together at Sammy's Club one night. Big old show there. It was pretty freaking awesome. Wow. So he was cool. And he took my number and everything. I didn't think it would happen, right? Because literally, it was months away. He said, let's play on this date. And, I'll touch base with you guys. I'm like, okay. And we'll pick songs. So he calls me. And at the time, I was at Gary Kramer's house, which is kind of crazy. He calls me up and says, hey, is this Mike? I'm like, yeah, this is Scott Travis from Judas Priest. I'm like, Scott, really? You actually called me? Cool. Says, oh, hey, why don't you send me a set list of what you guys want to play, and we'll meet and jam. So I'm thinking we're going to have practice, and, he'll show up a couple days beforehand. Nope. Pulls up in his freaking Lamborghini. Was it a Lamborghini, Johnny? I didn't see it. Lamborghini or Ferrari? That night.
I don't know.
Yeah, pulls up that freaking night at the show, and I'm nervous as hell. We're in the green room. We show him, I sent him the set list a couple nights before. We go in the green room. He goes, okay, so how do you end this song? What about this song? How do you play this song? And I'm like, this is going to be crazy. Dude, he had every freaking song down. I'm like, talk about a pro. He had his shit down.
Yeah, so you were probably thinking, God, this is going to be a train wreck, man.
Yeah. Not only because of that, but because I was nervous as hell playing with Scott Travis from Judas Priest. I'm like, God, I can't screw this shit up. I was nervous as fuck, and who's gonna be there? And it actually it turned out pretty cool. It was awesome. At one point, he says, do Eruption. I'm like, no, dude, I'm not gonna do Eruption. He says, yeah, you got to do Eruption in here. I'm like, okay, so I did it. I started it, and I look back at him. He's supposed to do the drum part, the open it up. And I look back. He's all, what? I'm like, Eruption? He's, oh, yeah. And there's actually video on YouTube of me laughing when I asked him to do that, But it was pretty cool. Pretty cool night. But again, opportunities that I don't think would have come to fruition had I not had the opportunity to win the guitar and then go from there and just, meet all these musicians and stay in that world of music and entertainment. Man, it's been a blessing.
One postcard.
Yeah, one postcard.
One postcard that almost got thrown back in.
Yeah, over 80,000 entries, by the way.
80,000 entries.
80,000 entries. And yeah, one postcard because I lost the other ones like a dummy.
Good thing you did, man. You wouldn't have won that if you threw them all in there.
Exactly, maybe, right? And thanks to Karen Imelo, she saved the day for me. rest is history.
Man, that's so cool.
Wow.
It's awesome stuff.
I'm going to try to scroll through the chat while you
Sure.
if you're going to say anything else. But Stan Adams wants to know if you went to the Dallas Free Show or the Free Dallas Show when they did the makeup.
I did not. I was not there.
Let's see. Sorry, I read very slow.
No worries.
I wanted to go to that, but I was in another state,
Yeah,
you know,
same
and I was
here.
in school as well. Although I do remember the day that happened.
Oh, you know, he lost a bet. Remember when he cut his hair?
Yeah, with
Sammy
Jim
Hagar-
Kelly, right? The quarterback for the Bills.
And he lost a bet. Eddie lost a bet. He ended up shaving his head backstage one day.
He did it backstage?
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Lost the bet, and then he had the ponytail kept, I guess. I'm like, wow. Because nobody recognized him when he came out. He was skinny and like, who the hell is this guy with Eddie's guitar?
Get off the stage!
Yeah, who is this guy? Who is this guy? Yeah, pretty wild. I'm like, yeah, crazy stuff. You jump in, you chime in. When's the last time I have so many pics and videos I have to transfer, man. Just haven't had time to do that even.
Mhm.
Mike Neese wants to know if you ever saw Eddie use a metal pick.
Yeah, I did, as a matter of fact.
Stan Adams wants to know if you still have that suit you wore to that NAMM.
Yeah, probably a Goodwill, dude.
And does it? If you do have it, does it still fit?
Yeah, right. Oh, hell no.
Michael Smith, the captain, says winning that guitar was a blessing, Michael.
Yes. Yeah, it was. Thank you. I'm grateful. Oh, yeah. Hey, Johnny, if you could pull out that picture of me and Stanley Jordan. This is how down to earth Eddie was. So here we are hanging with all these celebs, and we're all in this booth. It's blocked off to the public, right? Before they go out and do their signings. And it was different back then with Kramer. They'd have a back area for all the celebs and then bring them out later. So we're sitting in this one area, and we're taking pictures. And I think Rolling Stone was there. Some big photogs were there taking pictures for magazines. And I'm like, I see Stanley Jordan, and he was up and coming then. He was doing some badass stuff with the guitar, and Eddie was out talking to him about that. And we were in the mix. It was just that one right there. So he, myself, and Eddie were talking about his guitar technique. It's just the three of us. And I'm like, oh, cool. Hey, Eddie, can you take a picture of us? And he's like, sure. So Eddie actually took this picture right here.
Oh, wow, really?
Yeah. He took the picture of us. I'm like,
Wow.
That's cool. Yeah. Yeah. It was my freaking Miami Vice look, man. What the hell was that?
Oh, yeah, man.
Jesus. Yeah, pretty bad. And Stanley, he was such a quiet person too, man. He's a quiet person. He's a very nice guy too, very humble and just awesome. And the way, Eddie took him in and just was talking to him too, and just back and forth before the going out to the crowd. It was cool. Again, very personable, down to freaking earth. I'll never forget that piece of him.
Our close friend Caleb Rappaport from the band Nerd Halen. He says he was out front at that booth. I'm assuming he means when you got the guitar, or
Get out of here, really?
that year. Did you see somebody who's like 6'5" and just?
God, there was a shitload of people there.
I wonder if
If
there's
he
any
was there.
pictures that you could see, like Caleb just towering over, blocking everybody
what?
behind him from seeing anything.
I have a whole bunch of pictures I actually sent too of the crowd that was sitting in front of us. So he may be in there. I just got to bring him out.
Oh, we'll find out if he's full of shit.
Yeah, so if Caleb was there, then he knows. So during that time, Eddie's signing autographs and handing pictures to people and things of that nature. And Eddie's all, hey, anybody got any smokes? And this kid in the corner is all, hey, I got some. It was like a commercial. Are they Winston? Yeah, they're Winston's. So he hands them the box, and Eddie's all, can I take a couple? Like 3? So he takes the 3, gets the box back, and they're yelling at the kid, give him the box, asshole! So the kid gives Eddie the box. He's all, hey, you sure? Hey, thanks. And it's actually, I think you can hear it in the video. You see it in the video of him handing the box. But, yeah, that was hilarious, too. And then people kept bringing drinks for us. And Just crazy stuff in the background going on. People asking, "Hey man, can I touch the guitar? Can I hold the guitar?" And Eddie's all tapping me on the knee, like, "No, don't do that." You know.
Yeah, don't let
Don't
anybody.
do
Yeah,
that.
because next
Yeah,
thing you
don't
know,
touch it.
people
It's
regret,
gone. Oh, it was good. Yeah, exactly. They took the damn magazine. I was so pissed off about that. Take that guitar too. Yeah. And then they had that Kramer hat that's on there on the video too. Kramer had those funky cargo hats back then, or whatever the hell they were called.
Yeah.
Safari. I don't know what the hell they were. So Eddie
It has
threw
the
that
long
on
back.
me. Yeah.
It's like long in the back. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've got that still, and people were asking, God, to buy that thing. I'm like, yeah, I still have it. Hey man, would you sell it? Oh, here's another story for you that is kind of trippy. So this is a couple years after I won the guitar, I'd go back again to NAMM, right? So they'd know me. I'd be at the Kramer booth all the time. This one guy from New York would come every year after a couple of years, every year with the check. He said, dude, I'll buy that guitar from you. Here's a check for 20 grand, right? This is a couple of years after. I'm like, no way, dude. Fast forward the following year, he shows up again. Okay, 40 grand. How about 40 grand? He has a check, 40,000. I'll give you a check, 40,000 right now, whatever else you want. I'm like, nah, man. Literally, the last time he came, he showed up was in the 90s sometime. 80,000. I'll give you a check right here for 80,000. He had it written out, had my name on it, had it everything. I mean, it could have been fucking fake as hell, but he would be there every year. 80 grand. I'm like, you are nuts, dude. I said, no, I'm not going to sell this thing. No way. Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah. Oh, and here's another thing that I tripped Eddie out on. You know,
Yeah, was it Rob Johnson? Was that who was trying?
Yeah. That's it. So this is the other thing I was telling Eddie about. He was tripping out on. He's all, no way. Again, every year at NAMM, not every, almost. I think it was like almost 3 years straight. These guys from other guitar companies would come to me, and they'd say, "Hey, we'll pay you a substantial amount of money if we can borrow that guitar." I'm like, "Yeah, sure. You want my car and everything else?" So no, we'd like to take measurements of it every year. Different guitar company, and then one from overseas in particular would bug the shit out of me. I don't know how they got my phone number, but they wanted it. No, it was, I can't think of the name. Anyway, these jerks would come and they said they wanted to duplicate the guitar to sell it. They were going to make duplicates of my guitar that Eddie gave me and duplicate it down to the color, to the measurements, everything, to be able to reproduce it. I told Eddie that. I said, no, man, I didn't give it up. I didn't want to do that. And out of respect to you and all, he says, hey, I appreciate you doing that. I didn't know that would happen. I said, yeah, that happened plenty of years. Yeah.
Why would they even tell you that? Because that would make me think like the same thing you probably thought was like, no, I'm not giving you this. Then if they just said, oh, we kind of just want to look at it and see what Eddie,
They told me straight up, because I think the third try, they're like, you know what, let's tell them what we're going to try and do. Maybe give them some money with it. But yeah, straight up, we want to duplicate it and make it, I'm like, wow, pretty wild stuff.
Nerd Halen says Washburn.
No, I have it written over here. I don't want to.
Oh, you don't want to throw a company under the bus.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, not that. I don't want to get in a lawsuit either. I want somebody coming after my butt. But yeah, it's just kind of messed up, kind of messed up for somebody to even do that. And then I'd have.
I can understand that. I mean, we got some. Well, I don't even want. I probably shouldn't even say this, but I've heard a story. I'll put it that way, of a company asking somebody this, basically the same thing. They want the specs of a certain guitar because they want to copy the specs of that guitar. And I'm thinking, why don't they just go buy one? I didn't understand in your situation, it's different because, that's not like a production model guitar.
Yeah.
So that's different. But in the case that I'm talking about, this was actually a production guitar that they were asking a certain person for the specs. And I'm like,
yeah, go figure.
Make your own guitar.
Yeah, right? What the hell?
Yeah.
And then on top of that, I'd get, to this day, after actually last NAMM show, I got a couple of calls from different photographers. One in Davis, California, this guy wanted to borrow it for a month. I'm like, yeah, not, because he was supposedly putting a book together of all kinds of celebrity guitars. And I'm like, look, I'll show up and, I can be there with you. He says, no, it's going to take a couple days. And I'm like, that's fine. I'll go back and forth if you want. Long story short, I mean, this book never came out, and I don't know who the hell this guy was. But yeah, there's been others that want to reach out and borrow the guitar, but no, I couldn't do that, man.
Yeah,
it's like, sure.
Borrowing, I don't understand how anybody could think that you do that.
Yeah,
like,
right.
That was Eddie's guitar, a one-of-a-kind guitar.
Yeah.
And yeah, I could see if like, all right, yeah, I'll be there while you do the pictures or whatever you want to do.
Yeah, and I offered that. I said, I'll be there, no problem. I don't care. You can take pictures. I don't care. You don't have to pay me or whatever. It doesn't matter. This is for Eddie, But yeah, some odd stuff out there, man. Odd stuff.
Well, I wonder if more people are going to contact you now, considering,
Oh, they already are.
Literally
that day, the unfortunate day that we all heard the news, I was getting different texts and different calls from people I don't freaking even know. You still have the guitar, And unfortunately, I don't have my address publicly out there. I mean, the address I've always had is a post office box. So I never have posted my address.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I've got a lot of people coming out of the woodwork too that I haven't talked to in years. I'm like, how the hell, number one, if you got my number, and didn't I tell you not to call? No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, just crazy stuff like that. Yeah, it's just stirred up a lot of memories, good memories. And I just, like we were talking beforehand, it's like, man, some of those songs brought back so many memories just listening to it. It's like, man, I was doing this at the time. I was doing this. And even backstage, listening to Eddie noodle around, just thinking about that, how he used to tune up and hit certain harmonics each time he'd start. When he'd plug in, he'd hit these harmonics. It was like routine every time I saw him.
Wow.
I'm like, wow,
everybody has a certain, whether it's a riff, a lick, or a something that everybody does.
Yeah. When you
the first time you pick up a guitar, it's crazy.
Yeah. So like at Soundcheck, he'd plug in and do these couple of different harmonics. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. I thought it was just one thing. And then I'd see him at another Soundcheck. I'm like, oh shit, it's the same thing. Okay. Maybe that's his routine, which is, again, I'm fortunate to have witnessed stuff like that, just hanging out and just watching, just in awe. Just like, wow, this is so cool. Crazy stuff.
Yeah, and going back to that, before we went live talking about the whole thing, it's weird, like, because I haven't listened to too much Van Halen because it's still weird, it's like, especially the Sammy era, and we talked about that a little bit, but it's almost like I listened to Fair Warning a buttload of times, and it was almost like listening to it, I don't want to say for the first time again, but it was definitely different listening to this music and even watching live at a net, like now listening and watching than it was a few weeks ago. And obviously everybody understands that, but it's definitely a weird thing, but it's more, it's almost like you pay attention a little more to the minute details.
Yeah. Always. And I'll never forget one time, I think it's even in articles where Eddie would say that, it doesn't matter about the vocals as long as the music is the quality of what his representation is. It's just the music alone is what matters. Whatever vocals you put on top, it doesn't really matter. But he wasn't trying to be rude. It was just, that's where the soul of music is the actual instrumentation behind it. And when he said that, I'd start dissecting his music and just listening to his guitar and just listening to everything he did. The tone, the way he picked, trying to figure that out, and just how he make the guitar squeal, man. Just the technique alone, just wild. And he'd do something different each time. That one tape I had mentioned about the Back to the Future.
Mm-hmm.
Again, I freaking hit myself in the head so many damn times over that damn thing. There was so many recordings of him on that tape of just noodling. To this day, I've yet to hear it anywhere on YouTube or anybody, pirating it or whatever. But I'll never forget some of the noodle he did on that. Just mind blowing, man. I mean, equivalent to Eruption. Hearing Eruption for the first time was listening to that tape of him noodling. It was the same thing. I was like, yeah. And I'm like, no freaking way. Yeah, I was so pissed like a doofus.
Man, I wonder where that tape is now. But at the same time, the masters are in 5150 of the recording that ended up on that tape. So hopefully it'd be cool when Wolfie and Alex go through the stuff. Maybe like, hey, this was the tape that was on the Back to the Future. Yeah,
that'd
be cool to hear that.
Well, and hopefully I'll get Wolfie to sign the guitar in place of his dad one of these days, man. That'd be awesome. Get Wolfie out there. That would Wolfie. Cool. Wolfie's a badass musician, man. I don't know if you've seen some of the videos. He can play the drums like a badass. As well as the guitar.
I think that's his main instrument's drums, I think.
Yeah, I think his uncle taught him the drums first, I think, from what I've heard or read. He started off the drums and then just picked up that guitar and, hey, like nothing. The DNA's in there, man.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
You got no choice.
Yeah, it's in there.
Well, Sammy said in that interview, or one of the interviews, that Eddie sent him a couple songs from Wolfgang's upcoming album, and he said it was badass.
Yeah. Wolfgang posted some stuff a while back, and I don't know if that's ever going to come to fruition or what, but what I heard was badass, most definitely. I'm like, dude, that's freaking, it's Eddie Jr. It's the DNA, it's the blood, it's flowing through him, man. I can't wait to hear his stuff.
Yeah.
But then you got the people talking crap. It's like, come on, man.
Of course.
Always talking crap. When he was developing it, just come on. It's like, really? Nothing better to do.
I'm hoping that stops. Now that unfortunately the band that we know of Van Halen is now over. I would hope that wouldn't happen anymore. That everybody would just agree it's all great music. It's all Eddie's music. It was all great.
Yeah.
Even Van Halen 3. I loved Van Halen 3.
Yeah. Just listen to the music. Listen to him playing. It's just freaking awesome.
Well,
awesome stuff.
I think it explains it this way. If the music is good, you can even if the vocals or the lyrics or whatever aren't great, you'll still listen to it. But if the song stinks, it doesn't matter what this person is singing about.
Exactly.
The music has to be good first before the vocals are good.
Exactly. It's freaking awesome. Awesome work. Well, and hell, there's one story. So again, how I'm tied into all this is kind of crazy. So my wife's uncle used to load their gear at backyard parties. He used to set up their gear at freaking backyard parties. Yeah, isn't that crazy?
In the 70s. In the 70s.
Yeah, he used to help them set up and everything at all the parties in LA and Pasadena. I'm like, you are shitting me. He says, no, man. That's he was one of the texts I received too. He's all, man, did you hear what happened? Yeah. So that's pretty wild. And then the cousin that kept messing with me lived in Pasadena, and one of his friends actually did work at the 5150 studio. And he said that his friend showed up to do the work, and they didn't think they'd ever see Eddie come out or whatever. They were adding some concrete slab outside of the studio itself. So while they were doing that, he said Eddie came out with the beer and the guitar in hand and said, "Hey, what's up, guys?" Just like nothing, just casual, and offered them beers. And these are just the guys that were working there. This is one of my cousin's friends from Pasadena too. So again, how it kind of did a weird circle with me, how I'm kind of tied into this is just crazy. Weird stuff. But again, down to earth Eddie, right?
Yeah.
That's good to hear those stories, man. And there's been more stuff. People have been posting, certain hashtags on social media with like their, experiences meeting him or running into him or something, and positive stuff, man. Like you said, down to earth and just, especially when the cameras aren't around.
Yeah. And and I've seen that more often than once with him on the cameras. It's like, what the hell these you actually you see it on the video that that they took for me. And Kramer actually hired that photographer, that camera guy, to do the video for me. And they told me, they said, if Eddie asks, let him know that it's your camera because he doesn't like cameras in his face. And you actually see him point at the camera and ask, whose is this? And I say, it's mine. So it's in the actual video, which is, kind of validates that, he didn't like cameras. Pretty wild.
Johnny, can we show any of this like screenshots or kind of skip through maybe the video? Because Caleb, I know Caleb wants to see his tall glass of water self standing around.
Yeah, I think he pans the front of the crowd, but I actually have stills, a lot of pictures of the crowd. It's freaking nuts.
Of just the crowd. Wow.
Did you show all the pictures I sent you, Johnny? I don't know if I had any more stories to some of those pictures.
Of just the back of Caleb's head because he's blocking everything.
Let's see. There's like this one.
Oh,
it's
that's part of the setup. Yeah, so that magazine that was missing, that was on top of it. They gave me that.
The consolation prize.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, oh, here you can have this. Sorry, we don't have the magazine to go with it.
Oh man, I've seen the actual ad from the magazine, like that you would have signed up, that you would have.
Yeah.
Man, I've seen that.
I've got it somewhere around here too.
I'm trying to find it, but it's. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it.
Al face nerd Halen.
I think
Let's get some more thumbs up in here. Thumbs ups in here, people.
Yeah.
We got 120 watching on YouTube alone.
Oh wow.
Oh cool. I see 134 total because we're on Facebook as well. I think.
Are you trying to pull up the video, Johnny?
I'm trying to find some other pictures. Well, here's a picture of me. There's me holding your guitar.
That's at my old studio, yeah.
Hey, let's wear every color possible that'll clash with this guitar.
Oh yeah, that was actually after our show at Sammy's, right?
That was after Sammy. Sammy played. Yeah, Sammy and Vic played. Oh, okay. And you showed up. And then I got to check out your guitar.
That's right.
Which again is very heavy.
Yeah. Solid
Extremely
piece
heavy.
of wood, man. Freaking crazy.
Very heavy. Let's see.
Yeah, and I have a lot of pictures of Soundcheck, jam sessions. Oh, there's this one time we were at this all-star jam, and I'm backstage with Eddie, and he's just there was a saxophone player, and he's like looking at him like, what's he gonna play? I mean, like, what the hell's he doing here? Is that kind of look, right? Like, okay, cool. So they get up and jam, and this is one of the times where I said, must be awesome to be a celebrity like Eddie, because I sat literally on top of the speakers facing the crowd. And as soon as he got on stage, the cheering, the yelling, that energy freaking made my hairs stand up on my arm. It was just that intense. I'm like, wow, that was freaking intense to feel that for him, and just to feel it come the direct. It was just freaking awesome, man. It's just, wow, that is intense. So could you imagine that going towards you, that type of cheering and people yelling for you? Dude, it's just a different high.
When they were playing that, in front of the arenas and stuff, imagine like 20, 30,000 people. It's gotta be something that you can't even, well, everybody talks about. I mean, all these rock stars say that you can't describe it. It's something that you really have to experience. And I guess that's part of the hard part, even for like athletes and wrestlers and stuff. I don't know if you're a wrestling guy, but they say the same type of thing, like going through that curtain. As soon as that music hits and the crowd goes nuts, like you can't match it. And once these guys retire and move on to other things, like they still like crave that,
Yeah. And that's where one guy was telling me, it's like, we go through this, we love that energy that can't be matched with any drug or anything like that. And that's why some of these guys ended up turning to drugs to try and match that feeling, right? But they can't.
Yeah.
It's just an awesome feeling, man. I mean, frick, it wasn't even for me, and I felt it. I was like, damn, that's so cool.
So how did the jam with the saxophone player? Was it actually was it cool?
Yeah, it was like a bluesy jam. It was just, I think they ended up playing Superstitious, Stevie Wonder tune, and some other ones. But there's another thing. So so the reason I was on the speaker is I was managing Backstage again, also, right? And I didn't know a lot of the musicians, the upcoming or the new musicians, and new ones with new albums out. And this guy kept trying to get backstage. And I'm like, dude, you can't go backstage. I don't know who you are. He says, dude, I'm supposed to be back there. I'm like, you don't have a pass. I can't let you back. He's all, I'm Warren DeMartini from Rat, dude. I
don't need a pass.
I didn't know who he was. I'm like, oh, sorry, man. I didn't know who you were. Because they're like, hey, Mike, yeah, you can let him go. I'm like, okay, sorry.
He probably thought, I hope he thought it was humorous that happened. I hope he wasn't like a jerk about it.
Oh, no, he wasn't. He ended up taking a picture with me after.
That's
I was
cool.
teasing him. I'm like, hey, man, I apologize. I'm sorry. He says, no problem. He was cool. Yeah, he was cool.
That's too funny.
Yeah, and then you get the, oh, God. I don't know if you've ever worked the backstage area, but then you get all the crazy offers, right? And I'll keep this PG, but you get the drugs and you get the women and you get, oh my God, I've never seen so much crazy shit managing a backstage area. So that's another type of celebrity status. If they know you run the backstage access, it's crazy.
Yeah, I've witnessed it at a lot lower level. And, I was never really into especially the drug aspect. And a lot of times it's a very, for me at least, personally,
yeah,
it was a very uncomfortable feeling. And a lot of times I would just kind of get out, but
yeah.
Yeah.
That was cool. I mean, the thing of it is, it was different in the sense that the backstage managing for, people like Eddie was just celebrities. You're just managing which celebrity at what time and all that stuff. But then you get the people that sneak in or try and sneak in that weren't celebrities or didn't have the passes or credentials, but they would offer everything in the world just to get back there. So it was just like, wow. And as a teenager back then, crazy, man.
Yeah.
Crazy stuff.
We'll do what?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, yeah. There was a few times I'm like, huh? Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Crazy stuff.
Yeah, so here's some of the stills from Eddie. So he was he was signing a lot of those promos.
Yeah, promo ads, posters, and whatever people threw him. And I had the box at home like a dummy of all those pictures. I don't know what the hell happened to him.
So at no point right there,
Wow.
Mike, did you not have the urge to plop the guitar in front of him?
Oh yeah, most definitely. I was like waiting, and that's why they kept saying, "Okay, you're gonna meet him up in the room, and you guys can jam. I'll show you some stuff." I'm like, okay. And that's why I didn't bug him.
You were like, I don't need to, I don't want to impose too much right now.
Yeah.
Eddie, I'm gonna see
here.
This will be fun.
Here, play Eruption. Here, play Spanish Fly. Now. Yeah. Yeah, I didn't want to be that kid that bugged or anything like that, right?
Yeah. So where's Caleb? Oh, there's you talk. Okay.
Yeah, that's John Sticks on the left. The guy on the right is VP for Cherry Lane Music.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's he's giving me a good guitar picks.
Do you still have any of the picks that he gave you that night?
Yeah. As a matter of fact, I have quite a few of them, fortunately. Yeah.
Wow. And had you seen Van Halen in concert before this?
Oh, hell yeah. I was a fan prior to that. Most definitely. I was trying to build a guitar, trying to buy guitars. I ended up having to sell one of my guitars just so I can pay for some books to go to college, man.
Mistake. I'm joking.
Yeah. Yeah, pretty wild.
Wow.
I think he gets up and I thought they panned towards the crowd because look, he's pointing at, oh, somebody was wearing a Van Halen t-shirt. He's all, check out the shirt.
Yeah, I remember watching this, and there was a point. Was it this one? There's a point where he starts to look really uncomfortable.
Oh, we're about to walk out probably. He's like, can we get the hell out of here?
Yeah. It is Caleb. No, I'm joking. I don't know.
Oh, okay, so this is where they start panning towards the crowd. I don't know if you'd see. But again, I have pictures that literally had to put together like a panoramic type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
He may be in there somewhere.
Is that him right there? I'm joking. I don't know.
Such a nerdy kid, man.
It's like you're wearing a lab coat.
Yeah, it was again freaking 80s crap, whatever the hell it was. Shit, Duran Duran, man. I don't know. Too funny. Oh, somebody wants to know about Backstage. Yeah, shit got crazy backstage sometimes. I was only privy to a few things, but there was different backstage parties. Backstage parties for the crew, backstage parties for the band, backstage parties for business. Yeah, but as you know, as the years progressed, it kind of didn't do much partying, I'd say. I think that those were mainly towards David Lee Roth and all that stuff, the wild freaking parties, the 80s era maybe, and prior.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But the partying I seen was pretty mellow.
Well, one of the interviews that happened, I guess yesterday or whatever, with Sammy, the radio host, Angie, I forget what show it was, but she said that she went to a balance tour show, and she snuck her way backstage, and she looked over into a room, and she just said there was a pile of girls all like hooking up with each other. and she goes, I turned around and walked out, and I'm thinking, yeah, sure you did. So Sammy's response was, I was probably under that pile.
Wow, man, I missed those parties because I didn't see any of that before. Even in SAC, they hit the show at the Expo. We're done. I think that night Eddie got freaking sick because before the solo, literally before his eruption, his main solo time, he went to the side of the stage, said, hold on to the crowd, went to the side of the stage, and freaking Earl just puked. And then came back on and just did his solo. But after that, they all took off after that show. They literally went to the airport, jumped on a plane, and they were gone. Pretty wild.
Man.
Yeah. No, a lot more party. Actually, I saw a lot more freaking crazy parties at the jam sessions in LA when we were down there for NAMM. Those just freaking wild parties there. And these not necessarily where Eddie's involved or Eddie was around in that. These were maybe after he left and just, yeah, you open up a door and you see shit like that. All these, it was kind of like Hooters, but without the Hooter shirts. Trying to be PG here, Yeah. Walk by run room, and it's almost the same thing like that Sammy situation. It's like, what the hell, man?
Oh, yeah, what's going on here?
Yeah. Excuse me? Excuse me?
Yeah.
Too funny.
Yeah, well, NAMM, even well, not this year, but the past several years, even the NAMM parties are just pretty crazy.
No, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
People stay up all night. They stay up all night long in those hotels, like in the lobby. Yeah. Those lobbies are just packed.
Yeah.
We'd see that. We'd be eating hamburgers on the floor, you and I.
But even before that, I'm talking like right after maybe early 90s, even then going to, because sometimes they block off different floors at that Anaheim Hilton for different guitar companies, right? And sometimes they'd be blocked off for I don't know who. To my point, Ron Jeremy, I see come walking out. I'm like, what the hell's he doing here? What the hell, right? Yeah. And then, I'll never forget going to some rooms and just walking to topless girls and just, man, that's rock and roll. Rock and roll.
Rock and roll, Mike.
Rock and roll. That shit's real. Pretty wild. Pretty wild stuff.
The next NAMM, when it happens, I have to come, and we're not going to sleep. How about that?
Oh yeah, we don't sleep anyway. Yeah, join the crowd, no problem, man.
And hopefully,
go ahead.
I was going to say, hopefully we won't be sleeping because we're having fun, not because we have the NAMM-thrax, as everybody calls it.
Oh God.
Oh.
Yeah, that was crazy. We all got it. That was disgusting. So for everybody that's on the line there, we got COVID, Johnny and I, at NAMM. And I think the guy that was with us, who told us after the fact that we were all in a van, that he had the flu. I got, remember that?
Michael Smith, you were there. Michael Smith is in
it. Oh yeah.
You know Michael Smith. You know Michael Smith. He was there with us. Yeah. Oh, he was sitting in the back.
Yes.
Remember, he was sitting in the back of the without a seatbelt.
We all piled in this van, Jay. We all piled in this van. We were going to, I don't know where the hell we were going.
We were going to get my car. I had my car parked at Anaheim Stadium or something, and we were going to get my car. Yeah.
Yeah, and we all piled in, and this guy's coughing and sneezing, and I'm like, "You okay?" Yeah, I'm fine. We get out of the van. He says, "Yeah, I'm just trying to get over the flu. I think I got it." We're like, "What the hell are you doing in the van with us? You're gonna get us all sick." And I knew right off the bat. As soon as I got off the damn plane and home, chills, fever, everything, dude. It was just freaking disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, it lasted a month.
I stayed an extra day. I stayed with our friend John Mancuda at his place.
Right.
And then the next day we went walking up and down, in Hollywood, up and down whatever main street that is, where Jimmy Kimmel is and the Hard Rock and everything.
Oh, yeah.
The Chinese Theater, whatever. Yeah. I can't think of the name, but we're walking, and we live streamed it. So there's a video on my channel here of him and I walking up and down the street, and I was getting sicker and sicker that day. And I'm still like, I have to drive home. And when I got home, it was, and for an entire month, I was horribly ill.
Yeah, it was nasty. And it was like, so I ended up going to urgent care like 3 or 4 times, and they couldn't figure out what the hell it was, and they checked me out for medicines, and nothing worked. So long story short, I ended up breaking my wrist, or my thumb, and then fracturing my wrist, months later. Man.
Yeah.
I go to the hospital, and the nurse looks at me like, "Are you okay?" I'm like, "What do you mean? I got a broken thumb, and other than that." She goes, "No, you're flagged for COVID. You had it." I'm like, "What?" She goes, "Yeah, they checked up all the symptoms that you had when you went to urgent care. Everything that you, all the symptoms you had related or correlated to COVID-19, and you're flagged for it." So I'm like, "Oh, gee, thank you. So what am I supposed to do with that?" So I got to go tested and all this other crap for antibodies and all that. But, that was nasty, man.
I think we all had it. I think we all actually had it.
Yeah.
Although I took a test and it said I didn't, but I'm pretty sure because it was right after that is when the whole thing came out.
Well, they didn't know what it was then. They didn't know what it was then, right? They weren't prepared for it, and that's why what the nurse told me. She goes, they didn't know what it was, and they treated you with whatever they could, which didn't help. That's why it took a month. Yeah. And even after that, it was hard to freaking walk and breathe.
I had breathing problems for an entire month. Jay, you remember? I would go to the gym. I'd be sitting on this bike at the gym, like riding this bike for 45 minutes. I'd be messaging with Jay here, and I'd be like, I can't breathe, but I would still go and work out. Yeah. It was definitely it was something in the chest. Is what I had.
Well, that's what they told my ass. So thank God I survived that. Shit. Not fun.
Patient zero.
Hell. Yeah. But hell. But back to Van Halen, man.
Yeah. Look at this. I found this picture, man. I finally found this.
Oh, there it is. Yeah, there's my guitar.
That is Steven Rosen playing Michael's guitar at 5150.
Yeah.
Wow. And that's the day.
Suppose that's the day they packed it up and went straight from there. Actually, you know what? There's another picture I don't have handy, but Steve's same outfit. Eddie same. Well, he changed, I guess. Put on a sports coat, and then they got in the back of the limo. And they were on the way to NAMM. And guitar in hand.
It's the same coat. Same coat as there.
That was the one. That picture right there is the night before. That's the party night where he opened up the bar and they had the meeting, Ted Templeman and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it was the following day where they brought the guitar. And Steve Rosen showed up in the same outfit and all that stuff. And there's a picture of them in the back of the limo. I think Eddie's actually drinking some vodka then. They partied on the way there.
I've seen that picture.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that one. Yeah, they're in the car. They're in the, yeah. Where is that? Do I have that?
You have it somewhere in there.
I've got a lot of pictures. I've got a lot of cool.
Yeah, I've got so many that I haven't scanned. I need to scan over there from the old Polaroids, man. Before frickin' the technology of our frickin' phones. God, I wish I would have had the phone back then.
Remember shaking the shit out of them to make it develop faster?
Yeah,
hold on.
Right? Almost.
Yep. Hold on, it can get a little better.
Yeah. God. Had I had the technology back then, I'd have some badass pictures and video, man.
Oh, yeah.
Crazy seeing him jam. Now, that's the thing that sticks out the most. Just him jamming like no other person I've ever seen jam before with ease, and just making that guitar freaking scream.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. If you've seen it firsthand. But even before then, listening to Van Halen for the first time, I'll never forget my cousin playing the album for me. We wore that freaking record out, man. It was a record LP back then. And played it all night. I couldn't understand Eruption. I couldn't understand how he did it. I just was mesmerized by that. And then fast forward to end up meeting him after all that, going through trying to figure out how to play like Eddie, and then winning that guitar, just surreal. Again, very thankful for it. Blessed to have that opportunity and to be able to get to know him, as well as some of the family and some of the acquaintances associated. Kramer Guitars, Gary Kramer, like family now. Very thankful.
And to top it all off, Johnny Beane.
There you go. And now, I know both of you guys, all you guys. Awesome. You guys talk amongst yourselves. Talk amongst yourselves. I'm going to wipe my tears. Too funny. You guys are awesome. I appreciate the time, man. I think we're over, right? We're way over, huh?
Oh, we're about good. We're about good. Okay. Here's some. I don't know if this might not be big enough. Is this? Yeah, it's kind of small. But
hey, there you are in the back.
That's a still from Guitar World. Did a video with what's that dude's name?
I freaking don't know, but it was a freaking corny video, man.
What's his name?
Oh, that's what's his name from Steel Panther?
Satchel. Satchel. And there's me and Michael walking behind him. We didn't even see them filming.
No, but it was a corny video after all. I didn't think they were gonna put it out. But yeah, it was funny. Here we are, two goofy guys in the background.
Yeah.
And
I think that dude Phil X was walking behind us.
Oh yeah, Phil X. He was
too.
He's actually pretty cool. Actually, somebody wanted to see the guitar again, I think.
Yeah.
Here's the guitar.
Good
people.
idea.
Yeah.
So here's Gary Kramer signed the guitar. And again, hopefully Wolfgang will end up signing it one of these days in place of his dad. Because Eddie did want to sign it, but again, we didn't get the opportunity. Let's see. Hey, look. There's the tone, man. The tone.
Tone.
Yeah.
And look at that pickup.
It looks like. Yeah, see?
Look at that pickup.
And the pickup is actually it's solid and it's drilled onto the body. There's no spring, right? You can't raise it or lower it. Yeah. And there's actually a wooden piece under it too. And then there was also, I don't know if you guys can see that. There were initials on the back. I forgot whose they were.
Can you make them out at all or no?
Can I what?
Can you make out the letters?
Yeah, it was. I think I posted it before. I think we figured out it was his tech. Johnny, who was that guy that had the speakers, the 1984 tour speakers?
That's Rudy.
Yeah, Rudy. Sorry, that's Rudy had his initials on here.
Michael and I ran into Rudy at NAMM one year.
Yeah.
And yeah, he makes speaker cabinets, or he did.
Yeah. Yeah, and he said, and I told him, I said, were those your initials? And I think he said those were his initials in the back. I'm like, what the hell are they doing in the back? But I don't know if they're his or what. But yeah, it's our is his last name? Start with an. What's his last name?
John Biel.
Yeah, where's he tonight? What an idiot.
Rudy Laren. It's Rudy Laren, so it'd be RL, possibly.
Funny.
But yeah,
Well,
yeah,
It's RL. It is RL.
yeah.
Yeah, it is RL. The initials are RL.
Wow, maybe he painted that.
Could have,
Yeah.
but
It was so funny.
Yeah.
We ran into him. We just
Yeah.
we just happened to go to this booth. Oh, I saw a friend of mine, and then I was talking to this friend of mine, and I
Yeah.
look over, and Michael's at this booth talking to these people, and there's this guy sitting there
yeah, Rudy
having like a Coors Light or something.
yeah, he was.
And I walk up to him, and I'm just like, and he's like, no,
yeah, he's like, not me.
not me. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I look at his name, it says Rudy. And I'm like, you're Rudy Laren. I'm like, dude, Eddie's tech. And finally,
Yeah.
he's like, yep. He's like, yep.
Yeah, leave me alone.
And so
he was cool. Yeah,
He was cool. He was cool. Yeah.
he was. I got his number still. Like, I talked to him a few times after that. I was supposed to go down there and check out some of the speakers and
Oh yeah.
some of the gears. Yeah, I was
Oh,
gonna
remember
pick up
that?
a couple speakers. Yeah,
We talked about going down there.
I didn't have any cash, man. I was
No.
broke.
Oh, well, yeah, you got offered $80,000 for that guitar.
Right, and that was in the '90s. That was in the '90s, man. Pretty wild. Heavy
Wow.
piece.
Well, I got to tell you, I've been doing this with Johnny, Dave for a while as well. This is one of my favorite shows, man, just because of the stories and and
Awesome.
good stuff. And obviously, I wasn't there, but it's bringing back, just the memories of listening to the music and growing up with the stuff. And
Awesome.
Thanks,
Glad
man.
to hear.
yeah,
Glad
man.
to hear. Glad to be a part of it, man. I appreciate you guys bringing me on. That's awesome to share. Again, out of respect for Mr. Edward Van Halen, I'd say
Yes.
cheers again, but I just drank my last beer, so sorry.
That's all right.
Cheers. I gotta get some water. Yeah, I'm like,
Yeah.
I can't
Awesome. Awesome. There's
Man.
Michael.
Man.
Did I
Oh,
answer
yeah,
any-
There's Michael.
Yeah. Awesome, Michael. See you next NAMM, hopefully. Hopefully
Yeah.
see everybody at next NAMM. And I'll keep you guys posted. Oh, on a side note, I'll be like I said, I was in the middle of recording when all this happened. So I'm gonna try and get back into the studio recording. I'll let you guys know when we put out some stuff. I'm fortunate to record with some other guys that I'll mention later. I don't want to jinx myself. Yeah. And again, it's all based because of the opportunities I've had to meet great people and put in fortunate places, and very thankful. Cool. Awesome, guys.
Great stuff, man.
Awesome.
Cool. Well, keep
Awesome.
me posted. I'll keep you posted. We'll be in touch. Have a great weekend. And I guess we're checking out.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. Michael, thank you so much for hanging out with us, man.
Cool.
And can't wait to see you again, dude.
Yeah, likewise. Actually, pretty soon, hopefully, we'll be talking about that Gary Kramer jam at his new studio or his new, whatever he's
Mhm.
calling it, his little arena. So we'll touch base and go
Okay.
from there.
Okay.
Awesome. Nice talking to you, Jay. Nice talking to you. Well, nice seeing all the names on the side. Stay safe,
See you again,
everybody.
Mike.
Yeah, awesome. Take care, guys. Thanks again. We'll talk to you soon.
All right. See you, man.
Take care. Woohoo.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for watching. Subscribe. Leave a thumbs up. And Jay.
Yeah, that was fun, man. That was you know, the stories and just, you know, you
Dude.
almost like visual. I don't want to keep talking because I know we got to wrap it up. But man, I was almost like, you know, trying to put myself at the moment too.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it, like I said earlier, it's amazing being at in those hotels at NAMM in that main lobby, hanging out with Michael and him pointing. Oh, right over there was where Eddie, you know, was talking. We were hanging out back in 1987. You know,
Yeah.
It's like the stories, man. It's amazing. But thank you everybody for watching. And Steve Carmichael, there you are, man. Thank you. And Jay, I will see you tomorrow.
Tomorrow evening,
Saturday Night Live with your host John BL, which I don't know where he is tonight.
Yeah, we're gonna have to put him in timeout tomorrow for missing another Friday night show. You know what I say to that, John BL?
Yeah. We'll see everybody tomorrow night with the crew, and we'll probably hear some stories from Neanderthal from his interview. Was it today with Sammy?
This morning, yeah.
With Sammy Hagar, yeah, which I still have to listen to. I haven't heard it yet.
Come on, what are you doing?
Yeah, Sammy. Oh, his Twitter just popped up. Here's a chance to win free tickets tomorrow. Oh, he's doing a birthday thing tomorrow.
Oh, that's right. His pay-per-view is tomorrow.
Tomorrow night. Hopefully that's before we're on.
It definitely should be, because that's mid. You know, we go on at midnight my time.
Oh,
if he airs at midnight Eastern, he's an idiot, and we know he's not an idiot. He's a very successful businessman.
Yeah. Yes. Rock on, everybody. Thank you, channel members here on YouTube. I know we're live on Facebook as well. But yeah, drop some comments down below, down there. Leave a thumbs up. And we'll see you guys tomorrow night. Where's the thing? All right. Have a good night. If you're watching another video, and if you're going anywhere else on YouTube, say Johnny Bean Raid in the chat. Let them know. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Bye.
Yeah.